For this video, we're going to be covering one of my favorite heroes in the game, and that's Ghost Spider. I love Ghost Spider. Now, here's the thing. She is one of my favorite comic book heroes that's out there. When she first came out, she was really strong in protection, and it took me a while to start messing with her with other aspects, with aggression and justice and leadership. And they could be fun, they could be fine too. And I was gonna do videos on them, and I think I will in the future, because again, I really like Ghost Spider. She is one of my favorite heroes. But I think we're going to focus on protection today because it's just the easiest, I think, for most people to kind of get into and really get going with her. So we're going to do a protection deck. Again, this isn't necessarily the best deck because there's actually a lot of different protection decks you could do with her. But this is the one I've been playing recently that works pretty well. So let's go over all the cards of the deck, and then we'll talk a bit of strategy. All right, so we have all the cards laid out. Now, before we actually go in the cards, it's actually important that we go through Gwen Stacy herself. And the reason being is because of this card, which is her hero card, Dizzying Reflexes. Response. After you resolve an interrupt or response ability of an event, ready Ghost Spider. Limit once per phase. And this is going to be huge because there are 3 defense stat line. So it allows us to get an easy ready up each time we defend, which is super nice. She also has 10 hit points, which is really nice as well, compared to Miles, which only had 9. 1 hit point makes a ton of difference. But anyway, let's go everything left to right, go through everything. She is just a Web Warrior, so we're going to be using Web Warrior cards. So we have Spider-Man, Otto Octavius. Again, if after you play Spider-Man from your hand, ready and upgrade you control, if that control has a tech trait, then draw a card. Now, we do have Energy Barrier as a tech trait. Electrostatic Armor isn't one, sorry. The other one is her, or it's right on top, is her Web Bracelets, right? So after you resolve an interrupt or responsibility of an event, you can exhaust Web Bracelet to draw 1 card. So this allows us to get more card draw if we play it, but more importantly, we can ready up that upgrade and then draw a card through Spider-Man as well. So that's big. Then we have Hobby Brown. As I've talked about Hobby Brown before, I really like him in the Web Warrior deck because it's a free block that allows us to do a lot of damage. Then we also have Spider Ham. Again, I'm a fan of Spider Ham. I like him a lot. I know a lot of people don't like him as much, but I think he's pretty good. The next up, we have Miles Morales, who is a Web Warrior, a 4/1/2/3 stat line, which is really expensive. But after you play Miles Morales from your hand, or Spider-Man, sorry, stun and confuse an enemy if you control at least 3 Web Warrior cards. So this is a response. Miles would count as 1. We are 2. We just need a 3rd one out there. I personally like to try to get Web of Life and Destiny, or if we have another ally out there, that's fine too. But that's how we're trying to do it. If we have Web of Life and Destiny and Ghost Spider, and we play Miles, then we hit the limit, right? We hit what we had to do, and then we're set and we're golden. We don't have to worry. I will also note, because I don't think I mentioned this yet, there is 41 cards in this deck. I do think with Ghost Spider, you can actually go over 40 pretty easily. I usually play close to the 44, but I know a lot of people get freaked out by that, so I didn't do it for this deck. But you can do more if you really want to, because she's going to get through her cards pretty fast. All right, so then we have a bunch of events. The important note of these events is that you can change out these events if you want to, but you want them to have interrupts or responses, again, because they want to trigger off of this Dizzying Reflexes ability that will allow you to ready up. So that's going to be kind of the key with that. So our first event that I have that I like is Preemptive Strike. When a boost card is turned face up while the villain attacks, cancel all boost icons and then deal 1 damage to the villain for each boost icon canceled this way. Absolutely huge. I could do a lot of extra damage, plus it readies us up on our defense. So if the villain's swinging 3, we already have 3 defense. We defended everything. We hit him back with the boost icons, and we get to ready up, right? On just defending, which is super strong. And then that doesn't even include what's going on down here, which we'll get into a little bit. Then we have Jump Flip, which once again, is a 1-cost event. When you would take any amount of damage, prevent 2 of that damage. If you pay for this card using a energy resource, remove 2 threat from the main scheme. With this, sometimes, if we're defending and then we have like a minion or we're already exhausted or whatever else, it's an easy way to prevent some of that damage. And then again, if we use an energy resource, we get to remove 2 threat from the main scheme. Thwarting is one of the trickier things with Ghost Spider, and there's some different things we can do if you're worried about that, but that's why we have Jump Flip in there, and I like Jump Flip a lot for that. Sidestep, I think, is less important. Out of the 3, I really like Preemptive Strike and Jump Flip the most. Sidestep is probably one of the ones I would replace with, again, any interrupt or response that you think that makes sense. When you take any amount of damage, prevent 3 of that damage. You pay for this card using energy resource, deal 1 damage to the enemy. It's not a huge amount of damage done, but again, the preventing of the resources is the big part, plus the interrupts. Now, there is a lot of argument around this because if you're playing weaker villains that only swing for 1 and you have a defense of 4, like these cards aren't going to trigger. And that's important to note. So if you're playing a villain like, let's say the Collector or something like that, right, only has 1 attack, then or Mojo, this might not make as much sense, right? You kind of have to play around with it. I'm using this deck for a villain that's swinging 2 or 3, so that most of the time they're going to be getting enough boost icons that they'd be damaging me, and I haven't really gotten Armor Vest in right away. If it's a weaker villain, I would also consider taking out Armor Vest because you probably won't need it then. And I put in another copy of Hard to Ignore, which we'll go over in a second. So that's just FYI. Just understand like the villain you're playing, and this is what you want to play around with because this is all excess damage. And if you don't think you're going to get that, there's other defense cards that you can play too that work pretty well. Again, just look through them and see what interrupts or responses make sense for the villain that you're playing. All right, let's go into upgrade supports because there's a lot of them here. I'm actually going to start with this one right here because this is the least important one. This one can actually get removed right away. Exhaust team building exercise to reduce the cost of shared trait. Web Warrior, we only have 4 Web Warrior cards in the deck. The reason being is because we do have kind of expensive Web Warriors, so I get a little worried about that and I put that in there. But you could remove this. And again, I would look towards a Hard to Ignore because you can have multiple Hard to Ignores in there. It would be nice to get them in to basically remove threat from main scheme, right? Speaking of Hard to Ignore, we might as well cover that. After your hero defends against an attack and takes no damage, exhaust Hard to Ignore, remove 1 threat from main scheme. So you can have several copies in there, exhaust them all. That could work out great. All right, so we went over those 2. Let's start from the top again because we got a little lost. Web of Life and Destiny, as we talked about, I think is a really strong card. When the ally leaves play, we get to draw a card. It's free. So again, if we get like a card off guard, we can just get rid of this card and we don't have to worry about getting rid of anything else. And then we can just, next time we get it, just put it in for free, which is really nice. We do have 10 health, but I still like Endurance. I think Endurance is strong to get us up to 13. Electrostatic Armor is huge for us because after you defend against an attack, deal 1 damage to the attacking character, which is really nice because again, now we're just naturally doing damage, which is fantastic. Unflappable is great. So after you defend against an attack and take no damage, exhaust Unflappable to draw a card. We have Nerves of Steel to pay for all of these events that are out here. So Nerves of Steel, exhaust this to generate a lightning resource for defense card, which is really nice. Our Hard to Ignore, we did Armor Vest. Adds 1 defense. Again, if you are playing a really weak villain, you can feel free to take that out. And then we have 2 copies of Energy Barrier. Where when you would take any mana damage, remove 1 counter from here. Again, this is really nice when you're defending and it's like 1 off, right? It's 1 more than what you expected. So then this way you can save yourself a little bit so that, you know, when you take no damage, Hard to Ignore triggers and Unflappable triggers, right? No damage, no damage. So you want to make sure that these trigger. Again, Protection Spider-Man's a little weird. You could probably flip out or take out some cards. Again, if you want to take out team building, feel free to. It's not necessary whatsoever. I just like it because I do like to get my allies out there a bit cheaper. But you could take it out to get yourself down to a 40 card deck. That's not a problem. And then just take note of the villain that you're playing against, right? That's the other big thing is you have to understand the villain that you're playing against. If they're not doing a lot of damage, these events won't make as much sense. But if you're playing against like a Thanos, it's going to make a lot more sense because generally you're blocking for 4 probably won't be enough. So let's pop back up. Let's talk a little about strategy. And we're going to do practice hands, but it's really weird with Spider or Ghost Spider because it so much depends off of what the villain is doing. So we'll try our best with that. All right, so Ghost Spider herself has a bunch of cards that are just really strong. All of her basic cards is after you use a basic power. So that's thwarting, attacking, or defending. You can use her cards, right? And then when you use them, it allows you to ready up. Now, a lot of people would use her cards, like her Ghost Kick, or what's the other one? Phantom Flip, or whatever else. Web Binding, I guess. That's when the enemy reactivates. So Ghost Flip or Web Kick or whatever. A lot of people would use them when she's defending because you can defend multiple times. We don't need to do that in the protection deck. We're actually going to do that when she's attacking or thwarting. And then we can use that card to ready ourselves back up. It'll make a little more sense when we actually do it. But she has so many different combos of things that can work. It's really strong. It's really cool. So, again, I want to stress that with Ghost Spider, I think what makes her a little tricky is you are going to have to customize her to the villain at hand and understand what the villain is doing. But once you do, super strong, super great. So let's play a few mock hands. All right, we're down at the table. We have her all set up. Let's just shuffle her cards. So again, it's going to be really hard to show this because a lot of things depend on what the villain does. So it's going to be a little weird. Protection is a little weird to kind of do mock hands up, but hopefully you get the right idea or get an idea. and understand how she works. So, all right, let's shuffle this up. All right, cool. So, let's draw our 6 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Get a little closer. So we have auto, team building, jump flip, phantom flip, and sidestep. Okay, so we probably don't need jump flip or sidestep just yet. Phantom flip, I like the idea of, and team building, I like the idea of. So we'll draw 2 more: energy barrier and electrostatic armor. All right, that's fine. All right, so we'll flip up the Ghost Spider. I will use the double to play team building right away, because now what we can do is use team building and energy barrier to pay for Spider-Man. And then we'd actually get rid of Phantom Flip to play Electrostatic Armor. So now we have a blocker in there if need be. We probably wouldn't use him as a blocker right away. So let's say we deal 2 damage and we throw it 1, right? We just keep him in there in case we're going to get hit by somebody else right away. And then we draw back up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Web of Life of Destiny, Ghost Kick, Web Binding. When an enemy would activate, cancel the activation. All right. And then the Phantom Flip. All right, so we can't use web binding because we don't have the right resource yet, which kind of stinks. So that wouldn't work. So anyway, let's say the villain attacks us, right? And we're defending against the 3. Let's just say it's, I don't know, it's enough to, let's just say it does 3 damage, right? And so we block it perfectly, whatever. So we would respond after you defend against an attack, you deal 1 damage to the villain, which is kind of nice. And then I would, let's say we want to use a Ghost Kick. So I would get rid of Phantom Flip and Web Binding. It's a Ghost Kick. And Ghost Kick would do 6 damage and then allows us to ready up. And then it'd be our turn again. Now, the only thing that stinks, right, is all we have is Web of Life, Destiny, and Energy Barrier, which is less ideal. So we'd actually probably use Web of Life and Destiny. Energy Barrier I'd probably throw away for now. And then we could just exhaust a deal 2 or thwart 1 or whatever. I would probably at this point thwart 1 or no, I would actually hold on to him. I would not have him get attacked yet. And I'll show you why. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the next turn. Jump flip. Okay. Parental guidance, which is always nice, but I don't think it's gonna work yet for what I want to do. So again, the villain attacks, and let's say it's 4 damage they're doing this time. So we're gonna want to play something like a jump flip. So we'll defend the 3. We deal the 1 damage back, and let's do. Actually, let's say. Actually, it doesn't really matter which we do. Let's say we do preemptive strike. It does damage back to them, right? For whatever the card flip was. We take no damage. It's an interrupt, so we get to ready back up. All right, cool, right? So we're all set. We're good. That was the end of their turn. We defended against everything. We got to ready up because we used preemptive strike. Now, what I would do for this is I would use Spider-Man to attack 2 or thwart 1. Doesn't matter. And then Web of Life and Destiny allows us to draw a card, which is no sidestep. Okay. And then I would probably put Spider-Man Hobby Brown in. So I would use team building and throw away 2 cards to put in Hobby Brown. Now, what I would do at this point probably is use Spider-Man and myself to do 3 threat removal, right? And then flip down. What was her thing? Choose the Ticket Multiverse, Discord Palette, or Ready George Stacy. I don't think we have that yet. All right, so we'll ready up, and then we'll use parental guidance before we ready up to look for George Stacy, and add it to her hand. Okay, now we have George Stacy. We'll ready up, so it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a lot of cards we don't want right now, but okay. All right, so that's fine, right? That's nothing bad. Now we're on this side. I would probably get rid of Pyrrha and Punch to put George Stacy into play. We could exhaust George to put a Phantom Flip under there for right now. Yeah, that would be good. And then I would flip up. Now, what we could do is use Spider-Man again to thwart another 2 off, right, to keep this down. In doing so, we would discard cards, which would allow us to deal damage. He would go away. We do Web of Life and Destiny and draw another card. It's a double. Ooh, that's not what I expected. We probably would throw away these 2 cards to put in a Web Bracelet, and then we could throw it 1, deal 2 damage, whatever else. I'd probably hold on to the double, and then ready up. So we draw back up, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, Spider-Man would be nice. Actually, Spider-Man is almost key. So, you play an interrupt. Okay, so what we could do for this is, let's say we get attacked again, right? So this is where she gets a little like tricky and whatnot. We have to defend 3. And let's say we get hit for X amount of damage. We finally got hit, whatever. But we would deal 1 damage, which is nice. And then we would do a double to play Ghost Kick. Now, after you use this, we would deal 6 damage back to the villain. We would get to ready up, and after we resolve the interrupt on the bracelet, we get to draw 1 card, which is another web bracelet, which is not what we want right then, but that's fine. So then it would be our turn. I would use team building and throw away 3 cards to play Spider-Man. Now, after Spider-Man from your is played from your hand, stun and confuse the enemy if you control at least 3 Web Warrior cards. 1, 2, 3. So we control 3. Actually, I completely forgot we had Phantom Flip if we wanted to do that too. But they would now be stunned and confused. So now Spider-Man can attack, we can attack, right? All this fun stuff. And then we can ready back up. And we basically get a free round. 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe play Ticket of the Multiverse, maybe Spider-Ham, Jump Flip, right? Different things. So you can see how it's just kind of chugging along, but we've really taken no damage. We've done a ton of damage back. But that's kind of to give you the rough idea of how you would play her. So we're set up a later game now. And again, it's going to be a little bit weird because you're not really going to see how it works per se, because it's hard to see off of what the villain would be doing at this point. All right, let's say we're getting near the end of the game. We have George Stacy, who is really key to have out there. Basically, we can play these 2 cards as if they were in our hand. So it's a Ghost Kick and a Pirouette and Punch, which is really nice. Now, this is going to be hard to show because, again, a lot of what Ghost Spider does is kind of defense-related stuff. So it's going to be a little hard to show, but we'll try our best and, see how it goes. So we're shuffled up, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. So Jump Flip, Ghost Kick, Jump Flip. Okay, cool. All right, so what I would do is, let's say there's 2 life left on the villain before we flip them over. I would probably flip said villain right now. So we deal 2 damage, and then we could use a double to play Ghost Kick. After Ghost Spider uses a basic power, deals 6 damage to enemies. So they were 18, they're now down to 12. We get to ready up the 1 time for using Ghost Kick. Now, after we resolve the interrupt, we get to exhaust this to draw another card. Okay, another double. Jeez, I got like all my doubles, which is not super helpful, but it's not terrible. So that was, what did I say, 18, that's 12 life left. With an exhaust, they're down to 10 life. And then we can use another double to play Ghost Kick, which they were down to 10. So now they're down to 4 life left over. And that would be everything. Then we still have a double and 2 jump flips. I would probably get rid of one of my jump flips. We probably don't need that. And then ready up. So they have very little life left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, cool. So they would probably attack us now. When a card is revealed from the card deck. Okay, so they would probably attack us now at this point. What I would do is I would exhaust this to defend, and I would use Nerves of Steel to play a jump flip. Right? Hopefully we'd be taking some damage because they are on the second stage or a little stronger. We get to remove some threat from the main scheme, which is totally cool. This would ready us up. And then after you resolve an interrupt or response ability on the event, which is what this is, we get to draw a card, another jump flip, which isn't super helpful, but that's all right. Now, the one thing we could do is when a card would be revealed, right? Let's just say it was Shadow of the Past, right? We could do Pirouette and Punch. So we could throw away a double to Pirouette and Punch. When our card is revealed from the encounter deck, deal damage to the villain equal to 1 more than the number of boost icons. For Shadow of the Past, it's 2. So it'd be 3 more damage done, just like that, which is super useful. If we took no damage, we could move 1 threat, which is super nice. We also would have defended and dealt 1 damage to the attacking enemy. You can see how I'm already forgetting to do things. And then it would be our turn again. So what I would probably do is actually get Spider-Man play, use a double, 3, 4. We do control 3 Web Warrior cards, so we'd stun and confuse the enemy, so we don't have to worry about them for a turn. We would do 2 damage, do another 2 damage, and that would be it for us. And then we ready up, and then we get to draw 1, 2, 3, 4 cards, get to shuffle everything up, and there you're stunned and confused. So we got an advance out, we got something else out. Wouldn't have to worry. I think Spider-Man Miles Morales protection card is so good, especially for Ghost Spider, to just give you like a little bit of breathing room, at least for a a hand or a round. All right, so parental guidance, phantom flip, and our ghost kick, which is really nice. So let's say they were stunned, right? They were stunned, couldn't really do anything, whatever. One thing that you should generally do, good practice, is make sure George Stacy put a card under there so that you can save that card. That should have been readied up, just so that it helps you out later on. But let's say we did another 2 damage. We've already destroyed him at this point, but that's fine. We could throw away parental guidance in Spider-Man to do a ghost kick, which does a ton of damage, which readies us up, allows us to do this, which allows us to draw a card. Okay, cool. That's that. And then we could probably that's about it. We could just attack for another 2, attack for another 2, right? And then that's we've done so much damage at this point. But anyway, you can kind of see how that works and how that plays off itself. And again, when we would be doing a lot of damage, let's get rid of Phantom Flip. Ready all this up. 3, 4, 5. Now, the idea would be when they attack us with electrostatic armor, we could sidestep this as well, which helps us out because that allows us to do hard to ignore, it allows us to do web bracelet, allows us to ready up, allows us to draw a card, which is ham. Super useful, right? And then we go along and whatever, we could have done this card too and put more cards on. There's a ton you can do. But anyway, that's the rough idea of Ghost Spider. So I know this was a bit of a weird play because again, it's really hard to show protection decks, especially decks that are focused on how much the villain does to you and what they do to you without just like playing a game, right? But yeah, hopefully that gives you the rough idea of how Ghost Spider works. She's super strong in protection. I want to do this again, this hero again in other aspects, and let me know if there's heroes that should be doing other aspects. Are you good with the one, or do you want to see like other heroes in all the other aspects as well? Let me know. We can come up with strategies for them too. So let me know. But if you enjoyed this series, make sure you like, subscribe, all that fun stuff really helps out. And then finally, I recently did Miles Morales. Again, it wasn't Miles' best deck. It's just the one I've been playing with him recently. I've been enjoying. So make sure to check that out. See you all next time.